Good afternoon and welcome to this panel discussion on a very urgent topic, we think, how to go from centralized expertise to local impact. I'm happy that we have three different perspectives today on this topic, which sits right at the heart of joint actions for resilient futures, the theme of this conference. And across our industry, both in seed industry as well as in seed technology, and even with the industry organizations, we've been able to build very deep centralized understanding of seed, centralized understanding of R&D, of breeding, and we will discuss today how we translate that centralized expertise to local impact. And I'm happy to be joined by a seed industry representative, the director of our Dutch seed industry organization, Michiel Klompenhouwer.
Thank you.
A seed breeding or seed company representative, vice president at BASF Nunhems, Claessens, and our own managing director representing the seed technology industry, Helen Fomina. And I would like to discuss with you how we, in this world where we're faced with climate change, climate variability and extremes, regulations that evolve, sometimes not always to one central point, but diverging, and increased pressure on the supply chains, which we've seen through several different geopolitical events over the past years. How can we, with the different perspectives in our industry, translate that centralized expertise to local impact and local excellence? So I would like to start with asking each of you, what do you see from your perspective and from your background as fundamental changes in our industry in the past years that make this specific discussion today very urgent? And I would like to ask Frank to kick that discussion off.
Yeah, thank you. If you look to us as a company active in the vegetable seeds industry globally, I think it's important to acknowledge that we already, let's say, act globally, of course, centralized, like you said, but also, of course, have inherently a lot of activities happening in the regions locally. And if you, for example, look at seed production, which we do already global in many, many countries, different regions, using the hemispheres, to secure our supply, to manage the risks when it comes to climate, for example. That's what we already do on a global level. But when you look to, let's say, the challenges we face nowadays, for example, because of the regulatory landscape and what we do with the geopolitical situation, you see that there is a directional tension that we are pushed more and more from a global into more a regional way of thinking and acting. And especially when the speed to market or even the access of our seed to the market becomes at risk, then of course you see that there is really now a need to talk about all this.
Thank you. Helen, can I ask you to give the perspectives of seed technology on this?
Yeah, thanks for asking, and happy to be on this forum to discuss this pressing challenge. What we see as a seed technology company, that the speed of disruption, like climate change or like fragile supply chain or increasing customer expectations, and by customer I mean both seed companies whom we are supporting to unlock the potential of their seed genetics, but also the farmers who are acting in this stressful environment. So it's important to make sure that we are up to date with the solutions, and we can't deliver the solutions being in isolation. We need to combine our effort as an industry with industry players to bring this to the end beneficiary of our solutions, farmers who bring the products, fresh produce, to the consumers.
Thank you. Michiel, I know that in the Netherlands we have a strong seed industry representation with Plantum. Can you give the perspective of Plantum on this?
Yes,
question?
of course, I'd like to do. I think that we like you said, we represent, let's say, I would say almost the whole industry in the seed breeding part. And I think what's really a challenge now is from the public-private political environment, is that the polarization is really on. I think yesterday afternoon, I think the CEO of Syngenta, I think said it on that science is sort of explained differently. And I think from our point of view, to represent the industry also towards not only the Dutch politics but also in Brussels, that it's getting quite complex. You have different languages, different, let's say, opinions, and it's getting more and more difficult to get that all aligned and to get a sort of understanding what's the real challenge and how we, and I think it starts with indicating the challenge before you can look into solutions. And I think that's quite a challenge. I think in, like I said, in all kind of levels. And and I think for us it's quite important to get also all the sounds of our members into that level of discussion. So also from our side, it's good to keep them also informed on what's happening, let's say, on national level, so we can also have that level of knowledge and also science into the discussion.
Thank you. I think you say something very important, which you already do with Plantum, is keep us as members. I know BASF Nunhems is a member, we are a member, informed about what's happening around us, also where we're not sometimes. And Frank mentioned an important point with regulatory challenges that we have, moving seed around. Can you maybe give your perspective on how industry organizations like yours can also support us in those local environments and local productions, maybe outside of the Netherlands? What is the role of the infrastructure in those local places, regulatory situation there? What would be your perspective?
I think I can add two examples, at least two ways how we try to enforce that and support it. I think one of them is, let's say, to emphasize also to the public part, so to the political part, but also the embassies and the agriculture departments, that we need a long-term policy. So it's for us, being in the breeding industry, we really need long-term support. That's not only in legislation, but also in all kind of programs to support, let's say, the level of innovation and money involved in public-private partnerships. So for us, it's quite. So innovation is quite a strong pillar for us as well in the agenda towards the public arena, and that what is quite difficult at this moment is that it's changing so often. Mm-hmm. Even in the Netherlands, we have not often had a, let's say, a political period of 4 years. So it's changing rapidly. That's and their knowledge by, let's say, the politicians in Parliament, but also in the ministry level. That's I think a hot topic, and there we can help them as well. I think that we are, as an industry, really acknowledged by if they have questions or looking into ways to deal with certain issues, that they quite fast they come to us as well to listen to us and discuss with us what kind of solutions there are in the marketplace. I think from local, another example I'd like to phrase, and there from the Netherlands we are quite strong, is the public-private partnerships, let's say, across the world, and also together with ISF, but also together with the Dutch Ministries of Foreign Affairs. We try to deal with all kind of related issues of being, let's say, in the Dutch industry active all over the world. There are always areas, countries where they're looking for support. We can organize that as well from Plantum, from our members, but also, for instance, from Natuinbouw, where we can help them organizing trainings in-house, but also with governments, to strengthen also the local production, because it's seed goes all over the world, but you also see in specific areas that there's a need for local production as well. And here I think we can really benefit from the knowledge we have in the Netherlands to in our ecosystem to supply, or at least address that in those countries. I think that's where we are quite strong, and we also recognized on that part. So by investing in those public-private partnerships, it really I would say also gives our members the room to grow in other areas across the world.
Thank you. So Frank, I want to turn to you. We've heard Michiel talk about how can we spread, let's say, the public knowledge, how can we use what we've done in the Netherlands and translate that to other countries where they're developing this ecosystem and teach the lessons we've learned already early on. I would like to ask you, how do you do that within the company? How do you go from these central capabilities that you built to a local for local production? What is the ecosystem you use? How important is what Michiel said for you?
Yeah.
And how do you balance that?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, the ecosystem in the seed industry is very important. So as seed company, we work, of course, together with many stakeholders. So we work very close with Plantum in the Netherlands, where our headquarters is. But of course, we also work in the regions with the seed associations, and even this week here in ISF, also with the international community. And what is important is that we collaborate, that we align on the needs based on the environment, the world that is changing around us, and that can be regulatory, that can be the climate change problem, that can be collaborations between, let's say, companies, private companies, seed associations, but also technology companies. Also, you have a global organization, but also with local subsidiaries where you also try to meet the needs of the customer. So the whole ecosystem is very important for us, and we believe that collaboration and coming to alignment when it comes, for example, to global standards or guidelines is very key to team up together, formulate what we believe is the best way forward, but not only from a global perspective, but also taking into consideration what is relevant for the regions or the countries in the regions. And I think we maybe need to listen a little more to that because we see the changes in the society happening. And for our company, and I think for the whole industry, it's important to come to not only, let's say, defining these shared, let's say, guidelines and standards, but also to take responsibility at local level as well, to apply to it and to train our people there to give an example about what we believe is good for the industry and also make it work for them, that they get the resources, that they get the knowledge, the experience to also apply to what we believe as industry is the best way forward. We need to work together and all the different with all the different stakeholders of the ecosystem.
Right. Thank you. I want to go slightly, don't want to put you on the spot, but slightly deeper into one point you say where we have global standards, we have global compliance as well as quality standards. Do you have examples where you have to balance these with local adaptations, local needs, where maybe there's a slight friction between the two?
Of course, we have even recently in the industry, we have a new initiative, what we call the disease prevention program, because when you talk about seed health, having healthy seeds is very important. And we as companies, we also work together to see, what is the best practice to, for example, have healthy seeds at the beginning, at the source. So we do work together there, and we reach out to countries, to other companies, to seed producing companies also for coming together and sharing these best practices and finally come to agreement what we do believe is the best way forward to have healthy seeds in the supply chain. And that's one example where we have been working on with several companies, and now we are rolling it out to the industry and especially also the suppliers. Another example can be look at seed health. Seed health is very important as well, where we have the ISHI consortium where we work together. But also when it comes to responsible sourcing, we have given a guideline this week or released a guideline at ISF level to give also their direction for how to manage our supply and especially also focus on what we expect locally from our parties and work together to define what we believe are the standards for the future to be resilient as well. Yeah.
Thank you. In other words, a large role for this organization, ISF, where we are now, and the theme of this conference is very relevant.
Absolutely.
Helen, from the seed technology perspective, how do you think that seed technology can contribute to this shift from globalized expertise to local for local production, and what is our role as a seed technology company in that?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that innovation can work only if it is adopted locally. So a lot of innovation happens at the top level, at the centralized level, but then extrapolating it to the real conditions of the farmers is important. And for us as Germains, for example, our key focus is to make sure that the seeds produced created by breeders unlock their potential from the very early start of the growing in the field, and that's why going locally is critical. But having the expertise, how you can adapt the technology locally, test it, get feedback from the customers, loop this feedback, embed this feedback into the further development. It's like a continuous cycle of improving the way how we address the challenges that farmers are having. And for seed companies and for farmers, it's important that every kernel they put in the soil creates the crop, creates the outcome and the results. And that's where we, as a seed technology, both at global level, developing the products through R&D programs, and at local level, testing these products in real-time conditions. This is where we unlock the value of this resilient seed system.
Thank you, Helen. And if I can add a personal note to that, I very much agree that in the end, whatever we do, even whatever the seed industry organization does, is to benefit a farmer to produce the produce or the crop. So I would encourage every one of us to go out into the field, talk to a farmer, if they let you drive a tractor, but at least go into these fields and look at these crops. So Helen, I'd like to stay with you a little bit. Can you give us your perspective if we look ahead, if we are here again in 5-10 years' time, what do you think is a key must-have we should start now or we should expand on now to have a sustainable industry?
Well, in my view, what we are doing up to now is more reacting to the emerging challenges. If we as an industry would be able to anticipate and to design the resilient seed system, thinking ahead what might come and how we are better prepared for this from multiple angles, from breeding, from seed technology, from regulatory framework that we have, then we would be less stressed ourselves to find the solutions, because we will build and anticipate them moving forward.
Thank you. So Michiel, from the seed industry organizations or the representation organization perspective, what in your view is a key must-have for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think also already in this panel, but also in the other ones, I think we're in quite dynamic times, and I think that the level of multilateral solutions is going to be it's quite a challenge, and so I think it's good also from the seed industry to look ways how we can at least strengthen our own position, view, and be maybe also very well from that point of, well, I think from a strength perspective, go into the industry also in some political discussion, see what we can offer. I think there is an opportunity. I think also there, especially in the global area, it's ISF can play quite an important role. I think there's, like I've seen now also in this conference, the number of people attending it, but also we had the NSA meetings on Saturday and Sunday. You see there's a high level of need to cooperate, to work together, to find solutions in this dynamic world. And I think here an organization like ISF can play, I think, in different parts a very strong role. And that's also for us. Look at local for local being, let's say, an association in the Netherlands. We are part of Europe. That makes it as local for local. If you look at Europe, I think that's one big, well-organized world. But also there, I think not every country works the same. As you look at the seed resilient part, that even also for seed health perspectives, are we able to really strengthen all the European actors as playing as one country, as at least one group of companies really work? I think there's still a lot of things to win, because you see that also for looking at our members are often active in several European countries, and every time it's a little bit different. And looking at, let's also there the geopolitical challenge, I think it's also time, and it's acknowledged, but now it also has to be executed. I think there are some interesting discussions currently already in Europe in the omnibus kind of legislation to strengthen also the European role, that we can from 27 member states become really an even bigger player as we are today. So I think from looking forward, it's time that we, and I think it's that we build on trust. Trust is of course always the basis of a long future collaboration. And I think today in these kind of discussions, I think they're all agree upon that. And maybe it's also good for us to open up more and to get more into that arena with a strong message to give ourselves also the role that we can play in all those let's say challenges that are at with climate, with water, with also in the geopolitical arena, because seed is life. So, and I think it all starts with that, and I think also for us we can open up even more. I think we need to, with a lot of confidence, going into that public arena. It will strengthen us more in all kind of discussions.
Thank you. I like the going with confidence into the public arena. Frank, from your perspective as a seed company, what do you think is a key must-have we must develop?
I think it comes very close to what also Michiel already said. I think there are three components. It's what you also hear a lot today is collaboration. I think that's very important. I think we need clear global standards and guidelines, but at the end also local accountability and ensure that global and local is aligned. And I think the future belongs to seed systems that are not only effective and efficient in the good years, but especially also are in the difficult ones. Mm-hmm. And I think that comes to come to harmonization, that we need to sit together as industry, talk about the challenges we face, either being climate or regulatory or geopolitical situations we have today. We need to manage this, but we cannot do it alone. We need to work together in the industry with the stakeholders to find solutions. And if we can go for a deeper harmonization, I think that also will strengthen trust. And I think trust, you also mentioned it, Michiel, is I think very important also when you really act in this arena. And when you strengthen trust, you can improve efficiency, and finally is also then the enabler for collaboration at scale. And that's what we believe is really important to come to a resilience future in our industry.
Thank you.
If I can add something, also on that ways, the long-term perspective, that's something we need. I think we also need to maybe show more also into our discussion that, for instance, in the Netherlands, you see that also innovation is quite a strong pillar for us as well as an association. It's something we really push hard also in Dutch politics, that we are from the green biotechnology part quite a strong player as a whole, as an industry, and it's recognized, but also for us it's a challenge to get that long-term commitment as well, because politics only look at 1, 2, 3 years ahead, and then and you see that especially in the breeding industry it takes a long time. You can't really, of course we're part of the solution, but we also need long-term commitment from them into doing all kind of public-private partnerships, research programs, and this is also I think something where it's a messaging part, but that we need to get that message across, that it's, of course we are willing to, we are in there for a long time. So if they're also in there for a long, maybe we can really benefit and look for synergies. And this is something where, we're very convinced on that part, but maybe together on the collaboration part, it could even be a stronger message, I think.
Thank you for that perspective as well. I think these public-private partnerships and long-term development is something we can use as an example also in maybe environments where it's not so well developed. I'd like also to go back to Frank a little bit on the harmonization, which you emphasized a couple of times. Do you also think that harmonization will help us convince that harmonization actually contributes to local for local rather than having local regulations? And if we have harmonized regulations, it makes it easier for especially you, but also us, to take your operations where they need to be.
Well, I think at the moment we take also the local needs and the local requirements with all the challenges we are facing in the industry into consideration, into, let's say, also the global discussions we have in our seed industry ecosystem. I definitely believe that that will make sense and also will add value to finally come to solutions that are not only working for the ones who are centralized looking at things, but also really for the stakeholders who act locally. And I think that's really what we also need to pay more attention to. You see with all the challenges we face, we have to think more to the region, more to the country specific situations. Otherwise, we cannot win the game.
Thank you. So, thank you all for your contribution to this discussion. I think we've touched on a lot of different points. I think one of the overarching themes, harmonization of standards, a long-term commitment of both, I think, policymakers, rule makers, but also in public-private partnerships in R&D, in university research, academic research, I think is very important. And if we can export that from the countries where we have it already also to the countries where we want to be or we need to be to fulfill these local requirements, I think we actually, besides our seed, besides our technology, we have another export product which we can benefit from. And I think you also mentioned, Michiel, that the example we have of collaboration in associations like Plantum, like ISF, we can use that collaboration to come to all these requirements and all these conditions that we discussed today. So with that, thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to us. Hopefully this will spark some discussions among yourselves, some conversations to collaborate. I think that is one of the other messages of today. Let's collaborate on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.